Just going to make this real quick so we can get Matt up here and talk to us and answer some questions. But your new District 4 representative in Florida State House, Mr. Matt Gaetz, personal friend, and he's representing most of you. Not me, I'm out in District 5, unfortunately. But he's up here, he's going to give us a quick overview of things that are going on currently and everything, and then he's going to be open for questions for about 15, 20 minutes.
First, I just saw your shirt. Will you stand up in the back, the black shirt? I want to maybe model that, spin around, show it off. I like that. I saw you come in. I saw you come in, and it reminded me of the conversation I had with the NRA after my election. The NRA was very active in supporting me. Without their support, I don't think I would have been elected to be your state representative. And so I called the head and I asked her, I said, you know, what was it that made the NRA get so involved with my campaign and with my candidacy? She said, well, it was your survey that you filled out. And I said, well, which question, which answer? And she said it was the question you didn't answer. Because there was a question about an assault weapon ban. And I circled the word assault and drew a line out in the margin and said, this is a verb, not an adjective. Improper question. And she said no one had ever answered a survey that way. And I think the language that we use does matter. And that's why I was very proud to have the endorsement of the NRA. And it's why I have the chance to serve in the Florida House of Representatives. I had 3 initial agenda items that I wanted to discuss with the group, but we've already been here for over an hour, and I don't want this to become a hostage situation, so I'll review the agenda. The first thing I wanted to do was give you a legislative update of what has happened in the session. After that, I really wanted to talk about the upcoming likely special session and get your counsel and input on some of the issues that I'm going to have to vote on. And then I wanted to give you an update on the oil spill, what the reaction has been, and some of the tactical things that have been going on. And if it's all right with you, to make sure that I fit within the right time frame, is it okay if I cut off the oil update? Okay. If you're interested in that, I give pretty regular updates through my email system. You can go to mattgaetz.com, sign up for our oil updates. Happy to talk with folks afterwards, but I really didn't want to miss this opportunity to focus on some policy issues. So if that's okay, no one objects? Great.
No, that's okay.
Great. Well, most legislative updates that members of the House of Representatives give focus on the macro issues that were addressed during the legislative sessions, kind of the budget, how much money was spent on education or transportation. And so I wanted to take a little bit of a different approach. Instead of talking about the $70 billion budget, I wanted to talk about some of the very specific battles that I chose to fight, and some of the specific issues, and then use those as kind of a window into where I think the Florida legislature is going. And so we'll talk about very specific bills, what's happened with those bills, and what I think they say about our future. And I'll be very candid. There were areas where we were remarkably successful at promoting a conservative agenda, and there were areas where we failed miserably. And I'll start with some of the successes. One of the successes I want to tell you about is House Bill 105, about civics education. And I am concerned, if I had not gone to law school, I don't know how much I would have known about the Constitution that we have in the United States, the Constitution of Florida, because we don't teach a whole lot of it in our schools right now. And I felt like nothing is more important than providing some real rigor in the education system to civics and the Constitution, and ensuring that people know the fundamental principles and rights that we have as Americans, how we got those rights, how important they are, and how we ought to hold them out as a very specific premium. And so we passed House Bill 105, passed the House and the Senate. It's been signed by the governor, and it will ensure that we have rigorous education as to what the Constitution means and what our rights are as Americans. And more important than that, I hope that civics education can become a platform to be proud about being Americans. Imagine being a young person right now, and if you turn to the popular news media, it's almost like we have to be sorry that we are from this country. And I don't know about you, but I don't want to have to give any apologies about being an American. I think that the world is a safer place when America is the strongest country in it. And I think that's something to be proud of. And so I think that our education system is an excellent place to tell people about how we became a country, how we acquired these freedoms, how unique they are in the history of the world. Not just the political freedoms that we enjoy, but the economic freedoms that give people a chance to have upward mobility and to achieve successes in a way that no other society has seen in human history. So I think that was a success. That's something I'm proud of. Another success was the Healthcare Freedom Act. House Joint Resolution 37, the Healthcare Freedom Act. And this wasn't easy to pass, but we passed it. What this says is that you as a Floridian have a constitutional right to make your own decisions about healthcare. Novel thought, but I think particularly relevant today. And we're going to embed that in the Florida Constitution. Now, originally, this bill was not going to see its way to the floor of the Florida House of Representatives. The Rules Chair thought that there were constitutional problems with articulating healthcare freedom as a fundamental right of Floridians. And so he said he would not let the bill get to the floor. The sponsor then turned to the Tea Party movement. And he asked Tea Parties all across Florida, call Chairman Galvano, email Chairman Galvano, flood his staff with personal responses, personal beliefs on how we fundamentally feel about healthcare freedom. And it was probably one of the most heavily lobbied issues, not by lobbyists at $1,000 suits, but by ordinary Floridians who fundamentally believe that healthcare freedom was important. We got the bill out of committee, and I was asked in, I think, my first week to be one of the lead debaters on the floor of the Florida House of Representatives to take on the Democrats, and we got this joint resolution passed. Now, the job isn't done, because in order to amend the Constitution, the voters have to approve of it. And so the Healthcare Freedom Act will be on the ballot in November. And because we've made altering the Constitution more difficult, I think appropriately so, we have to eclipse the 60% threshold in order to have this added to the Constitution. There will be no massive funded effort. It'll be difficult to raise money for slick TV commercials. So the only way the Healthcare Freedom Act will pass will be if the Tea Party movement continues to make it a top priority. Because it wouldn't have passed the legislature without the Tea Parties, and so we're going to rely on you. I've spoken with the lead, I was a co-sponsor of the Healthcare Freedom Act. I've spoken with the prime sponsor, and I want to bring him here. And so with your permission, I'll work with the leadership and try to bring him here so that we can develop some very specific electoral strategies to get the Healthcare Freedom Act passed. There is another issue where we made progress in the legislature, and that was House Bill 1565. And this was the very first bill upon which I was the primary sponsor. This was my bill, and many of you remember when I was campaigning, one of my top priorities was job creation. And I didn't believe that job creation comes from more government programs or more stimulus packages. I think it comes from getting government out of the way of businesses in the state of Florida. And right now, we have a regulatory system that gives bureaucrats the ability to have a stranglehold on business. You know, when new businesses want to go to states like Alabama, the question is, how can we get you here? What red tape can we cut? What zoning variants can we provide? What industrial park can we set aside to give you to come to our state? In Florida, the question is, well, who's your transportation consultant? What's your concurrency plan? What water management district are you in? How do you fit into the comprehensive plan? And it's like we had a do not enter sign at the state line for new businesses, for high-paying jobs. So here was my bill. You can let me know how you feel about it. And I think it was just the first step. It says that if an agency of government, whether it's DEP, DOT, DVPR, a water management district, if they're going to create a rule that drives up compliance costs for businesses in excess of $1 million, that rule has to get ratified by the legislature. Because if it's a stupid rule, then you can vote against us. You can't vote against a bureaucrat. And so I called it the bureaucrat bill. It passed without a single vote against it in the Florida House of Representatives. It passed without a single vote against it in the Florida Senate. And 1 week ago today, Governor Christ vetoed House Bill 1565.